Leadership is embedded in every one of us, but the key is to unlock our personal passion, which will give us the courage to do things that appear difficult, uncertain, or even unpopular. Leadership is about working with people to do new things in a world which is increasingly complex and fast changing. I am very honored to be with you, honored to people, organizers, Iyds India. I'm just looking forward to a time together. The best way to connect, to communicate with people is by proceeding with him, usually meeting and mostly just getting to know each other. Hello everyone, my name is Shaad. What's your? Tell me with your valuable comments and who you are. Now, before I am starting the webinar, I personally requested to all of you, please subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates from Iyds India, helping others. Do valuable comments and express your thoughts that why you want to be a leader. If not, then why? Stay with me till the end of this webinar. So we will be sharing the feedback link in the description, comment box, as well as your WhatsApp group. Now, move to the topic, leadership skill. When we talk about leadership skill, what exactly do we mean? Leadership skills are the tools, behavior, and capabilities that a person needs in order to be successful at motivating and directing others. Yet true leadership skills involve something more, the ability to help people grow in their own abilities. It can be said that the most successful leaders are those that drive others to achieve their own success. Of course, the workplace and your studies is not only the area of your life where you can put these skills to use. Of course, the workplace and your studies is not the only area of your life where you can put these skills to use. There are many ideas introduced here that will help you to be more effective leader in any area of your life. As a parent, a spouse, a soccer coach, a charity board member, or as any other kind of leader, you will be able to apply this information and feel confident that you can be a successful leader in any area of life that you choose. What does mean by leadership? A born leader. You have certainly heard the phrase, what do you think of when you hear it? Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, or other world famous leaders in history, or perhaps there are leaders in your life, in your own life, that had a positive impact on you. What skills did all of these people have that made them effective leaders? Here are few tips, or here are few, but there are certainly others. Is committed to a vision or mission, understands his or her role, demonstrates integrity, sets an example, understand how to motivate the behavior of others, communicates effectively, is willing to take risks, problem solving. You don't have to be born with leadership skills. They can be learned. Whereas many leaders may be so committed to a vision that they naturally find ways to pull others along with them. Most of us cannot claim to have been born with that level of leadership ability. We certainly may have grown over time and learned more effective skills by experience, whereas many leaders may be so committed to a vision that they naturally find ways to pull others along with them. Most of us cannot claim to have been born with the level of leadership skills. We certainly may have grown over time and learned many effective skills by experience. There is good news for anyone who doesn't consider themselves a born leader or who has specific areas of leadership skills that need work. Leadership skills can be learned. All that is required is an open mind, patience with yourself as you learn these skills, and the commitment to put what you learn into action. Now move to these three traits every successful leader must have. The desire to lead. The second is commitment to the mission and vision of the organization. The third is integrity. Now, without exception, there are three traits that every leader must have in order to be successful. The desire to lead. As with any job, resisting the work of leading will make it difficult to be effective and impossible to find fulfillment or enjoyment in what you do. Without the desire to lead, you will not be willing to do work that it takes to become the leader of the team. You won't put in the effort to acquire the skills you need to motivate others or to handle conflict. Instead, you will stick with the comfortable patterns of behavior you have already developed, regardless of whether or not it helps you to lead. Are you sure that you want to be a leader? If you are, then you are already a step ahead. But if you aren't certain that you want to be someone who is followed rather than someone who follows, you need to consider whether or not a leadership role is right for you. There are numbers of characteristics and feelings that can help you determine your level of desire to lead. Enjoy it when others seek my ideas or opinions. I don't mind asking team members challenging questions when working on a project. I like supporting others on my team and can do so in both good and bad times. I am comfortable putting the team's interest before my own interest. When I am working with a group, I facilitate a strong team spirit. I am comfortable letting others take my ideas and put them into action. I like playing the role of coach to help others improve their skills. I prefer to resolve personal conflicts on a team rather than let them continue. I look for opportunity to celebrate other people's success. I can have a productive discussion even when others don't agree with me. When the team has a problem, I consider it my problem too. I like to generate ideas and share them with the group. It is possible to have these and similar statements apply to you in some companies and not with others. If you don't like the work that you do, chances are that you are not going to be inspired to lead others to do it either. In that case, you won't reach your potential as a leader until you are working for an organization that you can believe in. Things brings us to second trait that successful leaders all possess: the commitment to the mission and the vision of organization. The first leaders of any organization were those that first created it. They had a mission and a vision about what the company would do, who it would serve, and what changes it would make to the industry or sector they were entering. Those leaders had to take risks like borrowing money or leaving the job they were in at the time in order to start the business. There were likely personal sacrifices, long nights and weeks of work, and times of significant stress before the company could be considered a success. Those first leaders then had to hire others who could share the vision and believe in the mission of the company. The leaders would coach these new hires, helping them learn how to make decisions which would move the team of organizations toward the company's goal. This trend would hopefully continue as each layer of administration was added to the organization. In an ideal world, every employee would perform as if fulfilling the mission and vision of the organization were his or her personal goal. Of course, we don't live in an ideal world. The more layers of administration or bureaucracy there are between of visionaries at the head of an organization and the frontline employees who deliver the actual service or products, the more difficult It is to see the mission and vision translated to the employees. So, do you know what the mission and vision of your organization, or do you know what the mission and vision of your life? At this point, there is no question you need to ask yourself. Do you know what the mission? If you responded by naming what you do, that's not the same thing. For example, a telecommunications company employee might answer, we sell telecommunication products, but is that the mission of the organization? The mission could be something like, we help people to stay connected by providing the highest quality communication products and the best customer service in this industry. Can you see the difference? One is what you do, the other is how you do it. If you know what you do, but not the way you are expected to do it, you cannot effectively lead others to assist in accomplishing the company's goal. What is the difference between mission and vision statements? Mission statement states the main purpose and objectives of an organization. The mission statement is written for internal customers such as the stakeholders and the company's leadership team. It defines those key actions and measures that can be used to determine whether or not an organization is a success. What does vision statements say? Vision statements also addresses the purpose of an organization but denotes the value of the organization as well, whereas a mission statement defines what a company does. A vision statement helps to delineate how that work should be done. The audience for a vision statement can be the employees who glean from it information on how they should behave, or it can inform customers who can use it in part to determine whether or not they want to give their business to that organization. Now, third traits that every leader must have in order to be successful is integrity. Integrity can be defined simply as being true to your word, being authentic, being realistic in your action and speech, and demonstrating the kind of behavior that you would like to see your employees have. Integrity, like leadership skills, is something that you have to practice. It takes effort to honor your word every time and to be the example you want from your employees, even when you are under stress or simply have personality conflict. But the benefits you can gain from developing integrity are enormous when compared to the damage you can do it in the workplace if you lack it. Think for a moment about characteristics of bosses you have had that you didn't like. What is specifically were the attitudes, behavior, or traits of that person that has you still thinking of in a negative light? Probably you would list things like favoring certain employees, not coming through on promises he or she made, gossiping, taking credit for your work, or treating you disrespectfully. All of these issues can be traced to a lack of integrity. What was the workplace environment like when you worked for someone who lacked integrity? Did you enjoy going to work? Did you feel inspired to take ownership of your projects and put forth the best effort that you could? Did you feel loyal to the company or believe that there were significant chances for your own personal growth and development? It's a safe bet that your answer to this question is big no. A big no, and it's just a safe bet that as a leader, you could be creating the same kind of environment that you hated if you aren't practicing integrity in the workplace. So, how do you practice integrity? There are three key areas that you can concentrate on developing as you developing sincerity. Do not put up a false front. Also called authenticity, leaders with this facet of integrity accept responsibility for their commitments and strive to meet them, are honest about their own limitations, accept responsibility for their mistakes, tell them truth, don't tell a lie. Consistency. Leaders demonstrate the facet of integrity by treating employee equally as much as possible, following through on promises, working as hard or harder than their employees, having the same expectations or rules for themselves as for the employees too. Substance refers to integrity becoming a part of who you are, being in all your work relationship by keeping private employee information private, not gossiping or complaining about team members to other team members, doing what's the best for the team and not just for yourself, giving credit where credit is due, caring about the development of your employees, making it a priority to maintain clear communication and resolve any conflicts. How your personality style affects your ability to lead. Does any of this sound familiar to you? All of us have a way that we interact with the world. Our habits, behavior, and personalities all make us distinct from one another. Sometimes we work in an environment where we find that we are similar to other people in our preferences, our ideas, and our attitudes. These similarities make for an easy, comfortable working relationship, not to mention putting us in the position for making some lasting friendship. Yet, what happens when we work with the people who are significantly different from us? They are quiet when you are talkative. They are outspoken when you are more hesitant to share your opinion. They laugh easily and tend to share their personal life regularly, while you are more reserved and prefer to keep your personal life out of the workplace. You work in order to enjoy your life, but they seem to have a life only in order to work. You want things planned and organized, but they tend to make changes at the last minute, and then you end up frustrated. Does any of this sound familiar to you? Unless you have only ever worked for yourself, chances are that you can relate. How do you feel about those other people that don't share your ways of looking at the world? Do you see them as difficult, strange, or worse? Do they make you uncomfortable, even dread it when you have to work together? Do you ever change the way you act or speak around the people? Most of us develop some way of handling these different people. We might be polite. We might ignore them. We might dismiss their opinions. We might be to express our own. We might even, in the worst case, argue with them on a regular basis and speak badly of them when they aren't around. While this is bad enough when this situation exists between you and a co-worker, it can be disastrous for your entire team when you have this type of interactions between you and someone that you are trying to lead. The method we have all developed for working with others becomes so natural that you might not even notice that you are doing it anymore. Particularly when we are talking about a person that you find it difficult to supervise. When we find a way dealing with them that seems to work, we stick to it. Our patterns, our behaviors, and our opinions about other person cease to be a conscious choice. They become in our mind the reality of the situations. Important point, and one You will want to make an effort to identify in your own work situation where has your opinion of that other person stopped being an opinion, but instead has become something that you are treating as absolute fact. You are no longer distinguish between I think Mark is difficult and the mark is difficult, or I find someone annoying. The four basic personality styles. Direct. People with direct personalities styles like to be in charge. They like to take control and get to work, and they will work hard. They look for results, are driven to succeed, and are often competitive. They have a strong focus and are pragmatic in their outlook. They are assertive, deceive, and have strong opinions. They aren't afraid to speak their minds or to make the tough decisions. They don't want to analyze things to death. They want to get it done, and get on to the next project. For others, personality styles, direct styles can come off as overbearing, impatient, stubborn, and autocratic. They may appear as if they don't want other people input, particularly if it's something that could slow them down from getting the job done. They may not take time to listen to others or to feel that they need to explain anything to anyone else. They sometimes put results ahead of other people's feelings. So the difference is, the first one is personal sounding and doesn't give a solid result or outcome for the direct styles to strive for. The second one is still communicates approval and offer assistance, but communicates a specific request in a quick, direct manner. If it seems curt to you, don't worry. The direct style person will appreciate it. Get to the point quickly. Don't bore them with lots of background information. Appeal to their sense of wanting to have excellent result if you need to make a change. Give them chances to excel and complete when possible. Communicate in short, direct sentence with a specific call to action or request. Be on time and in on time. Don't promise what you aren't certain you can deliver. Don't give or ask for information about personal issues unless they initiate it. Give specific measurable outcomes for them to strive towards. Tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. The second is spirited. The spirited personalities are the dreamers of the group. They can be like the Pied Piper, generating enthusiasm and excitement about an idea or project. They are pursuing visionary types who are passionate about whatever they are working on and will throw themselves into their work with an abandon. They prefer to multitask in order to avoid getting bored or stymied. They aren't afraid to take risks and can often convince others to do the same. Spirited style, while great at things a project started, are not always that great at getting it finished. They prefer the big pictures to getting drawn to the details of the task. It's difficult to keep their attention for long since they prefer to do multiple things at once. Time management may be a problem for spirited people, as they may have a problem determining exactly how long a project will take to complete, and so they can tend to commit to more work than they are truly capable of doing. They may have a hard time listening to others, particularly if what the other person say might rain on their parade. I hope you all are getting my points. Allow time for brainstorming and let them express their ideas freely. Explain ahead of time how much time will be allowed for discussion. Praise them in front of other people. Communicate by showing an interest in their ideas but redirecting them to practical. Establish timetables with specific steps so your expectations are clear. Set milestones, deadlines in order to help them stay on task for the final deadline. Challenge them to break down their big ideas into specific outcomes and steps. Provide discipline in the sense of making it clear what will happen if they succeed and if they fail. Communicate with spirited person can be difficult for those who are not expressive by nature. Spirited people love to entertain others with their emotions-rich tales, which other personality styles may not find interesting or might even find annoying. Yet their enthusiasm, natural ability to come up with new ideas, and their passion about their work and valuable qualities that you can learn to harness by planning for times when they are allowed to shine. Make time for team launches or other gathering. If they have new idea, be sure to give them credit for it, and even better, allow them to be the one to teach the rest of the team about it. Regularly, coaching on time management be required. So work out a system for doing so that doesn't embarrass them in front of their colleagues. The third is systematic. They excel at identifying and managing details, and logic is their best friend. They are consistent, rational, precise, and are usually very disciplined. They make decisions based on research and analysis rather than feelings. They have patience and are deliberate in their work style. They are business oriented and not normally apt to share anything about themselves on a personal level. They like predictable processes and precise directions. They stick to the book and want others to do the same. They value fairness and playing by the rules no matter what. However, systematic can sometimes have a hard time making decisions because of the overload of information that they have compiled. They will always want more time for more details and may get bogged down in one particular area or on one point instead of seeing the entire pictures as the whole. They may fear change and upsets in their usual routine. They may not be able to recognize when rules need to be bent or exceptions need to be made to the rules or policies. They may shut down communications as a way of dealing with discomfort or disappointed. Focus on facts instead of opinions. Try to be accurate and precise in your communication with them. Give them time to check facts and reflect on what they learn. Be organized and prepared when you are met with them. Avoid personal topic in your interactions. Now the fourth is considerate. The final personality style is considerate. These are the people pleaser in your group. They are natural team workers, preferring to work with the support of others than to work alone. They are excellent listeners and seek to connect with others on a personal level. If this is conflict of any kind, they will work to mediate it. They will want everyone to have their turn, to have their say, and to be appreciated for their contribution. They are natural counselors, natural trainers, or mentors, and they enjoy helping others. They will encourage others to brainstorm and speak their minds, even if they aren't inclined to do so themselves. Of course, can have its downside as well. Considerate personality styles won't always stand up for themselves or point out mistakes that others might have done. More about other people's feelings in decision making rather than the facts. They can be overly emotional and take decisions personally that were not at all personal. They tend to avoid uncomfortable situations such as change or conflict and may do what it takes to be included in the group rather than what is the best decision for a project. Others may take advantage of them, as considerates will often agree to take on more than their share of work in a project in order to make others happy. So leading a considerate personality style express a sincere interest in their feelings, thoughts, and personal life. Foster trust in your relationship with them. Reassure them that they are doing a good job and correct them with gently when they are not. Try to move at a relaxed pace, giving them time to process changes. Monitor their workload to ensure they haven't taken on more work than they should. Encourage them to ask questions and to share their opinion. Let them know that you are appreciate their help. Give them opportunity to help others with projects or learning new tasks. Help them identify goals that they can stretch for, but be certain they are achievable. One particular challenge is leading a considerate personality style is walking the line between sensitive to their feelings and coddling them. You do not need to treat them with a kid gloves, but you should be aware that they need to feel accepted and approved of in order to do their best work. If you take the time to learn about them on a personal level and so that you are remember the details about them, you will go a long way towards earning their loyalty. Now, leadership styles. You have just learned how your ability to lead can be impacted by your personality style and the personality styles of those on your team. But there will, of course, be time when you need to lead in a style that is best for getting the particular job done. You can modify it when you can in order to work best with the personality style on your team. By but you should also be able to recognize when you need to change what you are doing, not just how you are doing it in order to lead the team as a whole towards success. The first is autocratic leadership styles. The characteristics. The autocratic leadership chooses to make the majority of decisions on his or her own. These leaders prefer to keep control and responsibility over the projects that they are assigned. This means that they aren't very likely to delegate decision making to others. They prefer a clear structure and set rigid expectations. These leaders rarely consult with others and aren't very interested in developing their own skills or those of their employees. These styles of leadership is rather old-fashioned now, but it still exists because there are times when it still works best. Autocratic leadership likes to keep the decision-making power to themselves. What are the advantage of autocratic leaderships? There are several benefits to this type of leadership for the leader, including a reduction of stress for the leader because he or she knows that they are in complete control. Decision can make quickly because there is no need to have a long consultations process before moving ahead. When speed is important, this is a good choice because not only are decisions made quickly, but employees tend to be more productive as long as the boss is actually there. So for unmotivated employees, this can be a helpful style. When even if this isn't your normal style, it can be useful for projects that have to be implemented in a hurry. Autocratic leadership allows for the fast decision making, can be useful for keeping employees motivated. What are the disadvantages of autocratic leadership styles? The kind of decision making isn't going to be popular for the long term. Plus, it can have detrimental effects on the workforce as a whole. When decisions are made in their entirety by the leaders, team members don't have the chance to develop their decision making skills or other skills. Autocratic leadership isn't good option for the long term. It can de-skill the workforce, making them disheartened and too reliant on the leaders. Although the control it provides can reduce the leader's stress in the short term, it will increase it in the long term because needing to bear all the responsibility all the time, employees will stop feeling invested in the company or its service if they feel they aren't allowed to have any impact on them. If she or he should leave or be absent, the team's productivity will suffer because the team will not feel confident enough to make their own decisions. When to use it, autocratic leadership styles in the organization. Good times to use these styles are short-term, complex, technical, or urgent projects. Low-skilled positions with monotonous tasks that can lead to high motivation. Where there is a high turnover in the employees, so keeping organizational knowledge in a leader is important. Move to the second, which is democratic leadership style. The democratic leadership style is just what you would think. It's all about making decisions as a group. The teams share responsibility for making the decision, making changes, and making deadlines. The leaders delegates a great deal of the work, letting the others have a say in what positions of the work they take on. Democratic leaders share the decision making as well as the resulting responsibility with team members. They seek feedback and prioritize team members' development. The leaders seeks continual feedback and looks for opportunity for development for both himself and his team. This is a popular style because when it is done well, it creates a harmonious productivity involving workforce. What are the advantages of this democratic leadership styles? In a democratic leadership situation, team members are often more dedicated to their work because they feel that they have had input in not just what was done, but how it was done. They take ownership of situation because that ownership is entrusted to them, and they are usually willing to work harder because they know that they will share in the credit. The sharing of credit also goes a long way to reducing the amount of internal politics because there is less need of competitions. The democratic leadership results in dedicated, loyal employees who are willing to work hard to deliver results and to share the credit for getting those results. If employees know that the whole team shares responsibility for the work, they are less likely to cover up mistakes and more likely to be honest about problems they see in the process. Since feedback is given and received continually in the long-term decision making is naturally improved. Overall, the work environment will tend to be more positive and collaborative. There also tends to be less turnover because employees are invested in the outcomes and they know that their employer will invest in their own development. What are the disadvantages of this style? The fact that everyone is continually consulted in the decision-making process means that the decision cannot be made quickly. If there is a high pressure or a need for fast decision, this style will not work. In fact, the leaders may be forced to change an autocratic styles in some cases. This kind of styles require that the leaders must work at creating a balance between allowing others to take the lead and keeping control of the overall process. Since everyone is involved in the decision-making process, decision can take a long time to make it. So when to use it? The democratic style is useful when it's important that every member of the team contributes their own creativity and knowledge to the process. When you are ready to prioritize training and team development and take the time needed to give everyone a chance to contribute, this style can be produce great results. It's a good way to create a new team of people who have not worked together before and need to get in gear quickly. Now move to the third one, which is the bureaucratic leadership. In this leadership arrangement, the focus for the leaders is on making the certain that employees follow the rules with consistency. The style became very popular when the industrial era began because factory work requires specific rules and procedures in order to ensure consistent quality and to protect the health and safety of the workers. In this leadership situation, the leaders gain authority more from his position than for the other reason. Bureaucratic leadership works well in the environments where following the rules is important than creativity or thinking outside the box. The environment tends to be more formal with clear distinctions between the leaders that their employees. It's commonly found in older, larger organizations or in organizations that have not yet evolved their organizational structure for some reasons. What are the advantages of this? When consistent output is required and quality is of the utmost importance, this style can be very useful. It's also a good choice when work is repetitive, but must be done that exact some way each time. When tasks are highly segregated and dependent on each other, the bureaucratic style can work well. It also helps in situations where cutting costs and improving productivity and priorities are how you are in measured or evaluated. Bureaucratic leadership helps promote consistent output and equality, can cut costs and improve productivity in some environment. What are the disadvantages of these leadership styles? When there is no difference in work from day to day and no choice in how the work is performed, the environment can be very dehumanizing to individuals. Employees are expected to perform their duties repetitively and without any personal creativity, which can be harm an organization in the long run. Over time, bureaucratic leadership can be humanized and discourage that workforce. With no investment in training, you can also end up without a well-skilled workforce. Due to the usual strict division of the labor, there can be the tendency of bureaucratic leadership to become territorial and to see others leaders as rivals rather than colleagues. Politics and excessive restrictive policies can result in this work environment. The characteristics also tend to result in communications problems since there are so many distinct segments. Now, when to use it in this organization, with this style, the main characteristics is the leader's ability to inspire others. They do so through commitment to a vision which they are charged with communicating to their team. It is possible that the leaders will actually have to create vision as well, requiring the ability to generate excitement in others about new, possibly risk ideas. It takes a great deal of energy. With this style, the main characteristic is the leader's ability to inspire others. They do so through in commitment to a vision which they are charged with communicating to their team. It is possible that the leaders will actually have to create the vision as well as requiring the ability to generate excitement in others about new, possibly risky ideas. As the name implies, athletic leadership style is based on the leader's ability to inspire and influence the actions of others. It takes a great deal of energy to be a leader because it requires taking advantage of every opportunity to sell the team on the vision and mission of the organization. Some members of the team will be easy to inspire, while others will be sold more slowly or unfortunately not at all. These styles depend on the leader's ability to build trust with team members by demonstration personal integrity. What are the advantages of charismatic leadership style? As mentioned, this type of leadership requires a great deal of time for the leader. He or she must constantly be responsible for representing the vision of the organization and embodying it in all that they do. It can be stressful to do so, especially when it takes time away from other responsibilities that are required in their position, plus since so much relies upon the personal relationship that the leaders has the team members. There is little room for making normal human errors. Mistakes that would go unnoticed in other leadership styles could be detrimental to the function of the leader. When to use it? When commitment to a vision is the most important aspect of a team functioning, that style can work well, particularly if there is the need to work quickly, work hard, and get a new company, division, or product off the ground. It can also be helpful to where team members have gotten stale or disheartened. When companies seek to recreate their image in the face of the public, they will often put forth a character as the representative of the new element. Now, move to the next slide. 7 crucial skills of leadership. Communications. Few skills are more vital to leadership than communications. Leaders must be able to communicate purpose, direction, and intent to all levels of organizations while receiving the same from higher levels. More than ever, success in business depends upon your ability to communicate clearly, accurately, and powerfully. Rapid acceleration of technology, the global workforce, shortened decision cycles, and having to do more work in less time has exacerbated communications problems. Communication is a process with 5 distinctive steps. The first is the process begin with someone who has intended message for someone else. The communicators, the second point, the communicator sends the message orally or in writing. The objective of communications receives the message. The recipient interprets the message, and the interpretation may or may not be the meaning of the sender intended. By responding to the message, the recipient gives the sender the feedback needed to determine whether the message content and intent were interpreted correctly or not. If not, furthermore, further communications required. Ensuring solid communications feedback can improve organizational effectiveness. The goal-setting process has rules that should be followed if the goals are to serve their purpose. Just as in sports, such as basketball and football, there is an objective and set of rules. Without such rules, players would lack important information, such as which way to take the ball and what methods of getting the ball from one end of the falling or the other playing surface to another. For personal or organizational goal to guide and motivate behavior towards achievement and success, certain rules of the game need to be followed. The primary rule is that goal must be smart. The specific, in terms of specific, the quantity, quality, and time, how much, to what quality level, and by when is this to be achieved. The measurable, what units of measure will be used to determine if the specific expectations have been met. Agreed upon. Those that must implement actions have accepted the task and have ownership for their achievement. They will not only live with, but also will actively support the decision. The realistic, this is a reasonable expectation. It has either done before or the team commits the needed resources to make it happen. Or the trackable, a system exists or will be developed to monitor achievement on a regular basis, daily or weekly or monthly. Providing, directing, and defining priorities. It is common sense that most people accomplish more than when they know what is expected of them, not only on a daily basis, but also over the long term. Think of your own experience and those times when you were most productive. Chances are you had a clear idea of what was expected of you. It is only with clear priorities that people are able to make effective decisions and take appropriate actions to overcome challenges and accomplish tasks. It follows from this that an important leadership task is to clearly communicate goals and expectations in order to achieve organizational success. These communications will vary whether the person is an experienced member of the organization or a new member to the team. And move to the third, which is motivating people. According to Maslow, the higher needs, belongingness, esteem, self-actualization are not important to people, even if unfulfilled, until the lower needs, physiological security, are met. Therefore, a person who is starving will only think about what he can do to get food, not about his self-esteem or self-actualization. The second set of motivational theories is the cognitive theories. The cognitive theories assume that people use rational processes such as cost-benefit analysis is determining what to do and how much effort to expend on the task. The third set of motivational theories, which is situational approaches, recognize that there are many factors in the overall work situation that affect a person's motivation to perform. The most prominent situational approach is the reinforcement theory. The reinforcement theory assumes that a person's behavior can be influenced through a system of reward and punishment. A reward reinforces a particular action or behavior while a punishment deters it. People seek of holding out a carrot as a means of motivating people by dangling the promise of a reward in front of them. Leaders can have the greatest impact on motivation by creating a motivational climate within the organization, by giving people opportunity to work autonomously, treat others with respect and dignity, and do the right thing. The leaders can establish climate in which people produce and achieve at their highest level. Motivating climates are characterized by open, honest, and constructive communications. Leaders can establish these conditions which then truly listen to their people or employees. This enables the leaders to understand what people need and improve the organization based on their input. Another important factor is establishing a motivational climate is the leader's attitude toward mistakes and failures. Workers who take on new responsibility or challenges are bound to make mistakes and fail to achieve some goals. Leaders should respond to mistakes by coaching rather than punishing. Now move to the fourth point, which is building teams, forming, storming, norming, and performing. For a number of decades, companies have increasingly turned to the use of terms, to the use of teams gathering together groups of people with many diverse skills and talents to respond to the constant change every organization must have. Virtually every employee is likely to be either a team member, a team leader, or a team worker, or both, and therefore must know how to function effectively within that team. For this reason, leaders must have a practical understanding of what teams are, how they are developed, and what makes them effective. Yet in a conference board of fortune, teams do not become finely honed productivity machines overnight, but like people develop in this distinct stage, these four stages are forming, storming, norming, and performing. The forming phrase, getting to know you stage, everyone is trying to figure out how the team will work, what their roles will be, and what kind of leader you will be. Forming is the initial stage of team development. In this stage, members are concerned about task issue, what goals are to be accomplished, what their role is, and what the team leaders and fellow members expect of them. The leader's role in forming is to facilitate the team's effort to develop its vision, mission, and goals. The leaders must also specify the skills that each member has that will allow him to make a meaningful contribution to the team effort. The second is storming. In this storming stage of team development, in which members begin to have conflicts over goals, work assignments, and personalities, the leaders need to deal with role and conflict issues, manage dependency, and facilitate consensus building. The leader must balance acting assertively and setting parameters for the team with listening attentively to all the viewpoints to understand alternative ways in which team members voice issue. In this reality sets in, the team may question you, your decision, or the point of what they are doing. Your leadership skill must come into play here in order to move the team past this phase. The third is norming. Norming is the stage where team members begin to focus on accomplishing tasks and collectively solving problems. Leaders need to provide the opportunity to involvement by all and encourage mutual learning. They should model open communications, supportive behavior. They should model open communications and supportive behavior. They need to provide effective feedback and corrective guidance when needed. In this phase that the team has accepted your authority and have begun to get to know each other. They request help and accept constructive criticism. Your leadership role is to enforce their commitment to the team goal and to monitor for any slips back into storming behavior. The fourth is performing, is the mature stage of the team, where members are collectively evaluating how the team is performing and identifying and implementing corrective actions for areas needing improvement. The leader's role is to point out problems, facilitate the team processes as required, and delegate to enhance the professional development of the team. Your team is now operating like a well-oiled machine. You can delegate work and know it will be done well. You can focus on individual team members' development, which will help to prepare the team members for leaving the team. Now move to the next slide, which is leading change, conflict management, and the coaching. Today's our world is evolving a dizzying pace, thanks in large part to development in technology. For instance, think about the differences these techniques made in your work life. Facimiles, personal computers, the internet, the laptop, computer, wireless laptops, smartphone, the internet. The internet in particular has connected us to co-workers and customers in a way that was never before possible, changing the way work and business get done. Leaders are judged by their ability and willingness to initiate and implement needed shifts in organizational behavior and to synchronize the efforts needed to achieve improved results. Effective leaders provide the initiative to seek new and better way for the company to operate in dynamic environment. And the conflict management says, ever since your kindergarten teacher broke up a fight in the schoolyard, have you remember that? Leader in your life have been taking a proactive role in conflict management. Conflict seems to come with being a leader in organizational of any size. And the coaching. Organizations understand the necessity of building teams whose members have the requisite knowledge and skill to perform the tasks required for achievement of the goal. Informal coaching is a powerful strategy for developing the talents of your employees and getting them to perform at peak levels within the organizations. Coaching is not problem solving. It is not personal counseling. Coaching is a process of equipping people with the tools, knowledge, and skills they need to develop themselves and deliver maximum value to the organization. As a coach, your responsibility is to help your people to do their job, but not to do it for them. Leaders can develop their people through coaching in much the same way a sports coach developer improves the performance of his athletes. The coach can help their employees set goals, determine performance standards, identify areas needing improvement, develop and implement plans of action, and provide oversight and motivation on an ongoing basis. Coaching is the leader's focal points for leveraging the organization's human capital. Leaders must thoroughly understand abilities, limitations, and professional goals of their people to serve as effective coaches. Leaders conduct Leaders conduct coaching sessions to help people become better members of the team, improve performance, or prepare for the future. Now, move to the next slide. Authenticity as a leader means aligning who you are with what you do. It means making sure that your actions leave out your words. If you say something is important, this is reflected in how you spend your time. When we see authentic leaders, we see congruence. People who are consistent in their beliefs and who behave in a way that demonstrates those beliefs in action. For example, if you say people are important, do you spend enough time with people, really listening to them? Authentic leaders have a reputation for keeping their promises. They are 100% trustworthy because they are driven by their values. What values and beliefs are most important to you as a person? Just comment in the comment box. How do you demonstrate them in what you do as a leader? Can anyone tell me about value and beliefs are most important to you as a person? Moral courage is a higher and rarer virtue than physical courage, said by William J. Slim. Boundary breaking is often the mark of a leader. Boundaries define what people are responsible for and enable them to decide what to do and what to not to do. Many organizations decide to empower people but then constrain them with rules and procedures to follow. Boundaries exist in job titles, allocations of resources, working practices, methods of communication, and hierarchical reporting lines. Leadership is about pushing at boundaries, using initiative, and doing new things. It is easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Organizations need structures that create freedom. Try describing what you will not to do instead of defining what you will do. Focus on what needs to be achieved and the procedures of protocols that get in the way. What are the boundaries that constrain you at work? Distributed leadership means empowering people to take leadership at every level in an organization. It means giving the work back to people instead of trying to be the leader who knows everything and solve all the problems. Use the skills and energy of the people around you. Ask them how improvements can be made. Encourage them to take responsibility for things that are annoying them. If you develop people, you can delegate to them. Delegation is not about dumping tasks you do not want to do. It's about delegating responsibility but retaining the accountability for achieving the desired results. It's about creating capable people, and it can free you up to be more creative. What could you delegate today? What results are you looking for? Tell me in the comment box. Emotional intelligence is the understanding of your emotions and how to manage them. And it is recognizing emotions of other people and then managing your relationship with them. The ability to recognize and manage emotions is considered as 4 times more important than IQ in achieving success. First of all, you need to become aware of your emotions and how they affect you. Think about your emotions. Then usually fall into one of the following categories: happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, or fear. Which of your emotion is most likely to take control of you so that you feel you have no choice in your response to it? How could you change your response when you feel that emotions? What other way of responding can you think of? Think about your emotions. Start noticing when you respond differently to these emotions. Example, if you stop sorting when you are angry, or stop procrastinating when you are anxious. This is what is meant by using your emotional intelligence. Once you have mastered your emotions, pay attention to other people's emotions and acknowledge them. You look worried. What's concerning you? You seem happy today. What's going on? You will get new insight into other people's situation, which will help you to develop your relationship with them. Now, this is the global leadership. Can anyone tell me about what your strengths and weaknesses are? Where are your strengths? What capabilities do you need to develop? Global leadership requires new ways of thinking. The world is increasingly unstable. Technology has created increased connectedness. Organizational structures are diffuse. Teams are virtual and change continues at a greater rate than ever before. Today's organizations need to be able to deal with cross-cultural working, political crises, natural disasters, and still behave as responsible corporate citizens. Hero or helper? Are you determined to lead from the front, or are you more likely to be a supporter of people? Do you see yourself as the knowledgeable expert who can solve any problem that comes up? Are you the person who makes all the important decisions and who is at the center of all the actions, in control of the situation, the hero? Or do you believe that your role as a leader is to support and encourage people so that they can solve their own problems? Are you a developer of people who empower them to make decisions at the front line, the helper? Most of us assume that we need to be heroic leaders. But in today's reality, where we are dealing with new and complex scenarios, the skills of the helper are often more useful. Both styles are needed. You need to be able to walk the line, recognizing when direction and decision making are needed, and when new situations are rising, moving to collaboration and discussion. So you can tap into the expertise in the team. So what you need to do, develop your ability to flex your style from hero to helper and vice versa. Influence people. Influence is the hallmark of an effective leader. People work in matrix structures with multiple reporting lines. They may report to a line manager, a project team leader, and a head of function. People are constantly telling us that they need to get things done, but they are not in a position of authority where they can tell people to get on with it. The need to get buy-in and influencing skills are crucial. Influencing can range from a request, "We need you to do this," to sharing an attractive vision of what you want to achieve, to asking questions and identifying common ground. Once you understand the other person's position, you are more likely to find ways to achieve their buy-in to your proposal. You can't build trust by keeping the other person's interest in mind at all times. How do you influence others? By making clear statements about what you want, or by asking questions and drawing out other people's need. Is your attention focused primarily on you or on the other people? Do you identify common ground before trying to influence the other person? Try using a different approach to influencing today and notice the impact. Job performance, know yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Job performance can be related to the way people are managed and led. Leadership impacts on the climate at work, and climate can determine how will people perform. Your leadership can have a direct impact on people's motivation and self-esteem, and subsequently their performance. Most people are motivated. Your role as a leader is not to demotivate them. If people are engaged in their work and have an opportunity to do what they do best, there will be higher performance. You create the environment where people excel. Have a conversation today with one or two of your team members. Ask them what they do best. Discuss with them how they can do more or their best work. Then create the opportunity for them to do it. Know yourself. To know yourself. The most inspirational leaders are people who know themselves. Their leaders is developed from the inside out. Can I ask you a small questions? Just tell me about yourself. So, can anyone tell me about yourself in 4 to 5 sentences? Just comment below. Their leaders is developed from the inside out. They are able to speak confidently about their strengths and weaknesses without any embarrassment or defensiveness. They get their confidence from understanding and liking themselves. They are open to feedback and they are able to apologize and admit mistakes. Their self-esteem is based on recognizing that no one is perfect, but that life is a journey with lessons to be learned along the way. Learning about yourself is often the hardest lesson. Just tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. 4 to 3 points. What is your manifesto? Ask yourself, why should anyone follow me? Or why should anyone follow you? What do I stand for a leader? Manifesto. Develop a personal leadership manifesto to explain why you are worth following. What can you offer others? How does your vision or purpose connect with them? Why should they follow you? Identify when, where, and why it would be useful or important to communicate this to people. Then evaluate how well you demonstrate your manifesto in practice. Ask yourself, if you would follow someone who behaves as you do you inspire trust? Is everything you do congruent with what you say is important? Develop your leadership manifesto by answering the following questions. What do I stand for a leader? What is my purpose and passion? What will people get from me as a leader? What is my vision for my team or my life and my area of responsibility? Then identify an opportunity where you can share with your team or your colleagues. Managers are often so busy cutting through the undergrowth that they don't even realize they are in wrong jungle. A leader is a person who climbs the tallest tree, surveys the entire situation and yells, wrong jungle. This is the line I got it from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, 1985 Covey. What are the needs? Needs. Enlightened leaders recognize that each individual who works with them has a choice to engage in a shared enterprise or not. There are some universal motivational drivers which are shared by people everywhere. We are motivated by basic physiological needs and other needs such as the needs to engage with other people and belongs to something affiliation. We need to explore and learn. We seek mastery and we need to have choice, self-assertion. These needs can be met by creating an environment where there is alignment between people's personal needs and organizational objectives. People have a sense of self-determination when they have a voice in what they do and where they go, and when they believe that their actions make a difference. They need a feeling of community where trust and respect flourish. They need an opportunity for enjoyment, a place of work where imagination, innovation, and creativity are encouraged. People also need a sense of meaning. They want to feel they can make a difference. Power and politics. People often assume that power in organization is linked to position in the hierarchy, but there are other sources of power. Think for a moment about what gives people power in organization. They might have access to information or be an expert in their subject area. So their views are respected. They may have the power of veto or control essential resources such as budgets, or they may just be people that others find easy to get on with. As leader is about getting things done through others, it is useful to pay attention to your relationship with key people. Draw your network, showing important relationship with large circles and strong relationship with thick line, linking the circles. Review your relationship map and decide which connection need attention. Think about the best ways to develop those relationships. As a leader is about getting things done through others. Questions are the heart of leadership. Question can be used to facilitate discussions. Question can be asked about how people are feeling about change, what contributed to a recent success, what customers want, how to support diversity, how the world is changing, what might be needed in the future, and so on. Questions are always a great way of challenging people to take a fresh look at an issue or problem and helping them to think about the outcomes they want. What do you want to be different? How will you know? The difficult leadership questions are the ones that involve ethical dilemmas. Should I accept this contract that will be environmentally harmful because it will keep people in work? Should I tell people about the possible acquisition, or will it cause unnecessary worry? Organizations are expected to be socially responsible, and leaders have to tackle challenging questions. Ethical leaders tell the truth and explain why they cannot always share all the information they hold and why they have made a difficult decision. Transparency. I am happy to make my decision public, especially to the people affected by it. Effect. Have I fully considered and harmful effects of my decision and how to prevent them? Fairness. Would my decision be considered fair by everyone affected by it? Strategic thinking is long-term and focus on what needs to be done and how it will be done. It's about creating a sustainable future by adding values to the organization from the perspective of shareholders or customer and employees, by doing more businesses, creating new products or services, or getting staff more engaged in their work. It is different mindset from operational and tactical thinking. It is about having a helicopter view, standing back from the day-to-day business and thinking about the long-term directions. Leaders then need to translate the vision into action, and this usually means doing things differently or doing new and innovative things. In order to bring about change, leaders provide a rationale for change, a clear vision to strive for, and an understanding of the first step to take. Are you clear about your long-term vision? Have you communicated that vision clearly to the people involved? You will probably find that you have under-communicated your vision by the factor of 10. How are short-term goals aligned to the long-term strategy? Is there a good reason for people to change the way things are now? Do people know how to start making changes? Move to the time. How much time did you spend on distractions, such as impromptu meetings, interruptions, demand from the boss? Your time is your life. Are you spending your time on the right thing? Are you finding the time to think strategically? Are you spending the time building relationships? Are you finding time to coach and develop your successors? Are you balancing work and home life effectively? Or are you getting drawn into daily firefighting, solving day-to-day problems, managing crises, and responding to demands from above often take up most of our time? But the real satisfaction is in moving the organization to a better position, not just maintaining the status quo, and yet most of our time is spent doing just what? Over a period of about 5 days or 6 days or a week, notice how you spend your time. Keep a diary of the activities you undertake. How much time did you spend responding to crisis? How much time did you spend on distractions such as impromptu meetings, interruptions, demands from the boss? How much time did you spend on tasks such as conflicting? How much time did you spend on tasks such as completing expense reports, email, etc.? How much time did you invest in thinking strategically, involving people, communicating the vision? Virtual teams. You will be probably find yourself managing a virtual team at some point in your career. A virtual team is one separated distance, time, culture, and may compromise people from different functions who do not know each other. The challenge of managing people from a distance is that they feel isolated, uninvolved, and they often feel passed over for promotions or new assignment. They say that they get too little communication and that their manager is either involved too little or too much, often around the wrong things. Leadership of virtual teams works well when you invest time is getting together to set up the teams and develop a shared goal. You need to demonstrate trust. This is easier if you have shared understanding about the outcomes required. You need to develop the right method of communication: email, phone, video conferences, or face-to-face. Think about how you can develop more empathetic relationships. Be aware of unspoken messages. Check out your understanding what is going on. Imagine what it might be like on the ground for your team members. Try telephone coaching, use a non-directive approach. Think about what the virtual team members expects from you and decide what you need to do to meet their needs. Identify someone who works remotely from you and call them today. Now, feedback is very important in leadership. Feedback is one of the greatest tools of leadership. It is the ability to give people real feedback about what they have done well and what needs improving. Many people avoid giving negative feedback, but it's equally difficult to give positive feedback without being patronizing. Effective feedback is given with positive intent, either to build confidence, recognize a contribution, or to identify what might be getting in the way of progress. Another facet of leadership is the ability to receive feedback with an open mind and not to become defensive. The more senior managers become, the more they are protected from feedback. Try to ensure you are always asking for feedback and that you are open-minded when you get it. It is not always easy to accept other people's views of us. Are you open to feedback? Do you respond with questions that help you to clarify the feedback? Identify someone that you could ask for feedback today. Ask them what they think you should do more of. what you could start doing and what you should stop doing. Stay open-minded and get curious about what they are telling you. You can always choose whether to act on their feedback. Thank you very much for your attention and comments. It's time to wrap up this session. Hope you like this session. Fill the feedback form to avail your certificates. You will be received certificate within a week. Thank you everyone. I'm ending this session. Have a good day. Take care.